He's Joe Flacco, former Super Bowl MVP. You won a Corvette, didn't you? They gave you a Corvette when you won the
They
MVP?
did. They were still giving away cars. I'm not sure if they're doing that, but yeah.
Where is that Corvette?
Man, it's in an old garage, not on the road. It's not street legal right now. I don't have it registered, but it's in an old garage in the house my brother's living in right now.
Wait, it's not legal? It's not street legal? What are we
Well,
what are
it's
we
it's
doing?
it's street it's street legal. I just don't have it registered. It's
Oh,
probably the tires are probably dry rot. It's probably not in the best shape, to be honest with you.
does it say MVP? Anything that will
Yeah, you know what? There's like a little thing inside of the car, and where it has the VIN number, it says Joe Flacco Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, cool. Cool. All
Yeah.
right, clear up something. What were you doing before the Browns called you? Were you doing what you're
uh,
doing right now, sitting on the
yeah,
couch?
I mean, there was a little bit of that. I guess that's what everybody likes to say, but it was like an extended off season, with hope that it was an extended off season, like with hope that there was going to be a signing at some point, but you just don't know if that's the case.
But were you getting calls or making calls?
No, no, neither. And there was probably a point in the off season where my agent was making calls and hoping to get calls, but at a certain point, neither of those things were happening.
But when Aaron Rodgers goes down, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my agent had some conversations, but not anything significant. It wasn't like we were, like I said, it wasn't. I'm sure he reached out to teams throughout the course of the season, but it wasn't like, um, I feel like when teams want you, they're probably going to reach out to you, you know, and obviously you want to do a little bit of digging so that you make sure you're giving yourself the best chance, but it's ultimately not up to you.
What's the first thing to go on a quarterback?
Oh man, uh, I think quarterback's one of those unique positions. I've talked about it a lot recently because it is so oriented around processing things quickly and stuff like that. That depending on your style of play, obviously, um, you can continue to kind of get better as you age. Obviously, there's a point in your career where you're the most explosive you're probably going to be, and the most athletic you're probably going to be. Um, but the bottom line is we don't play. We don't play at an age where that really gets too crazy, and on the downside.
But you're not
As long
losing
as you
arm strength. Your arm strength is the same
I
as it's
think the
been.
guy, yeah, yeah. Listen, I think there was a point in my career where, when I was younger, like even coming out in college and coming out of college, where you're actively like, you're proud of the fact that you can throw the ball far, but that's not really what makes a quarterback anyway. Even if you can throw the ball 90 yards, like the most you throw the ball in a game is 55 yards, 50, maybe 60 yards on an off chance one game. I can't even imagine that I've done that very many times in my career. It's more about being able to control the ball and be accurate within that 30-yard, 25, 30-yard range. So I think the guys that honestly, like, I think most guys that are at in the NFL level have a sense of just naturally being able to be good throwers. And I think that requires using your whole body to do that. So your arm really doesn't take that much of a hit. And I think, no, I don't think arm strength. I mean, I think most of the guys that have played pretty long, I mean, you can look at their arms. I mean, I think in some ways they get stronger from the time they're 22, 23 years old because as you get close to 30, you get stronger. And I think you're able to keep that pretty easily.
Take me back to April of 2012. New York Times article where you said that you were the best quarterback in the NFL.
You know what? I'm trying to remember exactly. I feel like that was on a radio show in Baltimore or something like that, where it was like,
Okay.
I was directly asked the question, you know, and it was funny because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, of course, of course I am, you know. Uh, I do like I do that with my kids, just like it's like I was talking to somebody recently. I ask my kids all the time, and who's the best, and if you're not going to believe it, then nobody's going to believe it. And it's not about just saying it. That's part of it, but it's about being put in situations where you have to overcome things and you start to actually believe it. and you believe it for good reason. So I was using it in that context. Like, I think it's important that your kids have that belief, but it's important to put them in situations where they have to overcome difficult things so that they have reason to actually believe
Do you think you're better than Brady and Peyton Manning right now?
it. Listen, man, those guys, come on, look at what
But
they've done.
right now, you're a better quarterback than Peyton Manning is.
Listen,
I don't know about
Dan,
Brady.
I love this conversation, but and in a private room, it would be a fun conversation to have. I love having the conversation with those guys. I'm not getting goaded into saying anything crazy. Those
Wait,
guys
goat? Did
are
you just say
incredible.
goat?
You know,
You were goat? Oh,
yeah,
whoa! You
you
just
know,
Joe Flacco called himself the goat. Oh,
it's funny. Like,
goaded in. Okay.
I could have never imagined. I don't think any of us could have how long those guys were going to be in the league. I mean, obviously, especially how long Tom was going to be in the league, and uh, I felt like there were some games there where we played in playoffs against him, and it was like, okay, he's probably got another year or two left, but he just set the standard. He set the standard in so many different ways, and not that standard's ever going to be reached by anybody else. It's very hard to wrap your head around a lot of the things that he did, and like I said, especially if there is some off chance that somebody comes and is able to do anything close to what he's done, I give him a lot of credit, a ton of credit, obviously. But to be the first to do so many different things and to kind of like not really care about what other people think and what's supposed to happen and go out there and continue to do the things he did is just so incredible. I mean, I think he is a guy, like, you talk about arm strength and staying in shape. I think he's a guy that, like, you look at him and like he's in better shape at the end of his career and stronger physically. Like, his arm got somewhere in probably 5-6 years in the league. It almost, I don't know if his arm actually did get stronger, but it looked like it did. Like, he just did so many incredible things.
We're talking to Joe Flacco. What's your status now? Do you know where you're playing, if you're playing next year?
I don't. I mean, you know that. I don't know that. Listen, it's a typical offseason. I'm trying to get myself back into it, and it's. I feel so fortunate to have been able to play, for 2 months, as opposed to sitting here right now and getting back into the swing of things in the off season, and kind of looking back at this season like, man, I guess I'm done. Nobody gave me a call. And now to have that feeling like, okay, I was able to go out there and play, and I think I was able to show that I can still play. So now we'll see what happens this offseason. So I'm excited about kind of the next couple months and what's going to happen.
But would you be satisfied being on a roster as opposed to being able to compete for the starting job?
Right. Listen, I think it's tough to talk about satisfied this and satisfied that. I think, there's part of you that's never really satisfied no matter what. If you're a starter, well, then you're not satisfied with, not winning every single game. And obviously, like, the last 3 years, I've been a backup, and obviously with aspirations to play at some point, and I've been able to play some games here and there. But listen, man, once you've played in this league and once you've played just football in general, like, all of us want to play football. So you're never going to be satisfied with sitting around and working hard and not really ever getting an opportunity. So satisfied, yeah, you're definitely not going to be that. I think you have to find ways each day to kind of stay focused and get yourself through those time periods. But you're never going to be satisfied with not playing football. And that's not just me. That's everybody in the league. I mean, you look at everybody probably from the outside looks at backup quarterbacks and like, man, that's a pretty good job. You get to make a couple $1 million a year and you get to sit on the bench and watch the guy go. It's not a good job, man. It sucks. It's miserable. You want to be playing. And not only that, like, you get nervous before a game, right? Like, when you play and you're the guy, well, you're the guy. And you go out there and you're nervous before the game, but then the ball snapped and you go out there and you have fun and you're just in the moment. When you're the backup, you're literally on the sideline every single play, like, still dealing with pregame jitter, pregame nerves. You know what I mean? And you just never get rid of them. And then it's just not fun. So, like, obviously not having to do that for most of my career, you get to look at that position in a little bit of a different way. And for those guys the guys that you do look at the guys that come in mid game or come in whenever they do, and you got to give them credit. It's not as easy of a job as you want to make it out to be. And you definitely, a part of that is the mental part where we all want to be out there playing.
Do you think you're better than Deshaun Watson?
Come on, man. What are you doing here? Listen, Deshaun, the thing about Deshaun is, it'll be nice for him to be able to stay healthy for a full season and get that kind of, get a solid foundation under his belt and things like that. I think we all have, we've all been able to see what he can do when he's able to be in there for a full 16, 17 games. So,
by the way, Joe was named most handsome player in the NFL. That was Fanatics. Do you remember that? Did you get an award for that? But
no, thank God.
You were named the most attractive player in the NFL in January 2017, a survey by Fanatics. Man.
I was going to say who did this? Who voted on this? It was my wife. That was it. She was the only person.
Would she have voted for you as most handsome? Though?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. She probably wouldn't have.
Brady was still playing, and Garoppolo was in there. So
yeah.
Did you get an award from Fanatics for being the most attractive player in the NFL?
I didn't. I wish I got some free stuff for my kids or something,
How important is it that your kids get to see dad play?
I don't know if it's important, but man, it is special. It's a unique situation. I remember I think Matt Stover was walking out of the locker room after games with like teenage kids. It's just a unique experience, and it's not something that I'd ever thought about doing. Like, you think about when you're a kid, you think about being an NFL quarterback or, a Major League Baseball player. Like, you can put yourself in those situations and think about how cool they would be. But like having your kids watch you do it, that's not really a part of the dream and all that. So even when I started to have children, it wasn't like I was thinking about, oh man, it'd be cool to have these guys watch me play. But now when you're in it and you see how into it they are, and just they're at that age where like they know everything about professional sports. It's really cool.
What do you got? 4 or 5 kids?
5.
Wow.
Yeah, I think my daughter's pretty oblivious to what's going on. Besides wanting to run up and give me a hug, but
But she's aware of Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, she's becoming more and more aware of Taylor Swift.
So she's a Mahomes fan.
Yeah. Listen, I think she's not quite there either, but she's getting there. Listen, you can have worse role models. I mean, I think she's done a pretty good job for all the young girls out there.
Absolutely. Well, good luck in the off season. Hopefully, you don't stay on the couch the entire time there, Joe.
You got it.
Thank you, bud.
All right, man.
That's Joe Flacco. He's a Super Bowl champ and won the MVP with the Ravens. In fact, defeating Jim Harbaugh's 49ers there.